Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Get ready for truth bombs, belly laughs, and the kind of accent that turns car into a two-syllable adventure. Here's your host, Sean.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It is October 15, 2025. Halloween's right around the corner. Hold on, wait. There we go. That's better. Halloween's right around the corner. Gonna make all the adjustments. You go away for a few days, and everything also all hooey. Thank you for being in the chat room. Already in the chat room, I got Jersey Joe, I got Phantom Canada Heavy Haul. Good evening, sir, in the chat room. You can go to the chat room, too, if you want to be part of this tete-a-tete or whatever you want to call it. Go to SHI Media on YouTube. You'll see the little live button. You'll see the little Patriot guy with the red circle around him right now. You click that. You come to the live. You get in the chat room. Make fun of me all you want. You deserve that. I deserve that. The Democrats deserve that, the making fun of part. Jersey Joe wrote a great article for SHR Media. And when he sent it to me after he wrote it, he said, Fetterman's probably going to get kicked out from this. And he said it in the chat. And I went and I finished reading through the article. I'm like, yeah, no, there's a good chance. And it's going to have to do with the shutdown, which I'm going to talk about right now. The biggest, the Phantom is in there as well. If I didn't say hello to the Phantom, she wasn't first. Yikes. But she's in the chat. She was second. I was somehow third in my own chat tonight. Like, everyone's always battling for the first. I was third. It's my chat, but that's neither here nor there. Let's go to the shutdown. I teased it. I can't tease you anymore. There's no edging on the show. Someone out there is going to get that joke. So, one of the things about the shutdown that's been kind of bothering me is the Democrats are already talking about how this is the third week. We're already in the third week of the shutdown as if it's been 21 days. It's only been 14. So we're really just at the end of the second week. Rick Robinson's in the chat room. Thank you, Rick. Thank you to the 641 subscribers to SHI Media. And I got to ask a serious question. And everyone in chat can answer this except Canada Heavy Haul. I guess you could answer it. I don't know how it would affect him. How has the shutdown affected your day-to-day basis? How has it affected your life? And if the answer is anything but not, unless, and I would even say military members, but military members getting paid. Post office, planes are still in the air. Post office is open. Military is getting paid active duty. Veteran hospitals are still open. Federal prisons are open. Border agents are working. How has this affected you? Now, I know there's some behind the scenes stuff that hasn't gotten done because of the shutdown. I get that. I'm not completely aloof. But the Democrats sold this. Canada Heavy Haul. Yes, sir. Welcome to October 2025. There's a little bit of a shutdown in America. The Democrats sold this like everything would be grinding to a halt. And again, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass. This is all planned. I said this. Hey, welcome, BZ, in the chat room this evening. I said this before this shutdown. I said this in the last shutdown. I said it in the shutdown before this. all of this is timed intentionally. When they vote on it is all timed intentionally. They needed to get close enough to these midterms that will be next year in order to get their political points for the midterms. Because the House passed it, 2 months ago? Something like that. I don't have the exact date. The Senate's had it. The Senate could have voted on this before, and they didn't. They waited to the last possible minute and then refused. It is a clean CR that the Senate has voted on before. That's how this bill actually came into effect. And it's just an extension of that. It's no money taken away, really. There's no money added, really. It's just a clean CR. This could all be open, and they could actually be talking about the actual funding bill that will get us through the next year. But instead, they're not. They're playing around for political points. They want this. The Democrats knew this could potentially hurt people, like people on WIC specifically, and others, lower income voters who more often than not in bigger cities were voting Democrat. They want to frame this that Trump shut it down. The conservatives shut it down. They control the House. They control the Senate. Not for a funding bill. They need 60 votes. They refuse to acknowledge that. They refuse to admit to that. And I think we only need what? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. 7 votes? I think 5, actually. We only need 5 votes for the continuing resolution. Now, Jeffries, I have a clip here. Jeffries is trying to frame this is
out of town.
The amount of verbal and mental gymnastics that Democrats will go to lie to people's faces and show that they are just these angels of the middle class and the lower class. Listen to what this man said, and tell me if there's any part of this that is in reality.
House Republicans shut the government down. Then they ran out of town. And for the last 3 weeks, they're nowhere to be found. House Republicans shut the government down. Then they ran out of town. And for the last 3 weeks,
and they did it with the and now we're up now. I don't know. I don't know why politicians still do stuff like that, where they want to make it like a sing-song thing. Like Hakeem Jeffries is so dumb. He actually thinks that's like going to end up on a t-shirt or something. No, you didn't run them out of town. The Republicans and the House are out of town because they did their job and the government shut down. And until this bill passes, nothing else is really going to happen in the Senate. So you didn't run them out of town. They're just not there because there's nothing to do. And Democrats trying to frame this like, oh, they're afraid to bring the House back in order because they're going to have to add the rep from Arizona. What difference does that make? They're not voting again on this bill. This bill is done until the Senate either approves it or sends it back. Mike, good evening in the chat room. And this is the games that they're playing. They're not. And I know nobody's shocked that the fucking Democrats aren't being honest about what's going on here, right? So I know saying that's kind of dumb, but they're not even making their bullshit points well. Chuck Schumer's yelling around about, oh, we have to fund Ukraine. This is a continuing resolution. Oh, we have to add money to Obamacare. This is a continuing resolution. That should be the only argument that the conservatives are making right now. Pal, we're just extending this for 60 days. That's all we're doing to hash out the big bill. 60 days to be grown-ups and play along and do the right thing and actually fund the fucking government. But no, they won't even pass a continuing resolution. And here's why. One of the big things, and Obamacare, we talk about this a million times. And I'm going to play the Fetterman video here that Joe sent me in a second because it's pertinent to what I'm about to say. The other thing that they're throwing out, right, is that the Republicans want to end the subsidies for Obamacare. Now, when Obamacare first passed and was signed into law, myself and about 45,000 other conservatives said, hey, this is a shit bill that's not going to fix anything. Things are only going to get worse and more expensive. And it's incredibly obvious why. Flash forward a couple of years, it started getting more expensive. We all were getting hosed. We all saw it. I came on the air. Others came on the air and said, hey, I can tell you just by what I'm paying, this isn't working. I didn't get to keep my plan. I didn't get to keep my doctor. My personal premiums were going through the roof, and I'm getting half as much service. Cosmic Pard in the chat room. Good evening, young fellow. So yeah, we all saw it. And now the only thing that saved Obamacare in a way was COVID, because they had to throw the subsidies in because COVID wrecked the economy so fucking bad. But they won't admit to it even now as I'm scrolling through and looking for the damn video. And I know Joe sent it to me. Here it is. Here it is. But it was always designed to fail. The end of the day, Obamacare was always designed to fail. It was always designed to go to the single payer system. It was not going to force Congress to make legitimate needed changes to our healthcare because big pharma and big hospital insurance wouldn't allow it. I said this before. Both of those industries are like the auto industries and cable was back in the 80s and 90s. It needed to be broken up. Both of those industries do. 100% need to be broken up. And there's other things that you could do to cause competition. Why in God's great green earth can I not buy my health care from a state away? Why? Well, there's this and policies and contracts. Bullshit. Bullshit. That's all bullshit. My insurance company, I can buy my last, I don't even know where this one is. It's probably out of Texas. My last one was out of Michigan, right? I don't get a local cable provider. I now have the internet. You can change this. You can adjust this. And those changes alone would save a bunch of money in the healthcare industry for people's costs, premiums, all of that shit. And Obamacare would not be a problem right now. But again, none of that matters in this shutdown because all this is a continuing resolution. That is something that is driving me fucking crazy. They will make government employees suffer. I said in my show a couple weeks ago, 43% of the U.S. government employees, federal employees, vote Democrat. And guess what? You look at some of the polling and you look at just the comments out there. Guess who's getting the blame for this? The Democrats are. Because they overplay their hand with how stupid their electorate is. And how just, maybe not stupid, but just that they'll automatically not get mad at them because they're Democrats. Well, people are starting to. Look, I understand that there is a lot of fat in the federal government that needs to be trimmed. 100%, no questions down. But there's also a lot of resources in the federal government that have to function, that people need, that the country needs. It just is, right? As little as possible, absolutely. But they're still there. Those people, and the ones especially that work hard and actually make those agencies, all of that shit work, they deserve a paycheck, Democrats. And you could be giving them that if you just pass the continuing resolution. But why? Why, Sean, you ask, won't they sign it? And I'm going to let John Fetterman, who Jersey Joe so said properly that he's going to get his ass kicked out of the Democratic Party. Listen to what he said. I'm going to give this to you uncut.
That's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party. And it's the wrong thing for the country in a period of chaos. I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I absolutely would love to have... I would love to have a conversation about extending the tax credits for health care. Absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken by the Republicans. They were designed to expire. That's why shutting the government is really.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's very simple. This is all a game. This is all a scam. This is all part of their act going into the midterms. This is their distraction from social media talking about how Chicago citizens actually feel safer. This is a distraction about DC. This is a distraction from Antifa. This is a distraction how getting rid of illegals is something the country supports. This is all a planned disaster. They wanted this. And things you got to remember too. They act like the shutdown is the end of the world. There's been 21 shutdowns since 1976. Since I've been born, there's been 21 shutdowns. The federal government spent $6.1 trillion last year and cannot account for 61% of spending per the Government Accountability Office. I will say that again because that statistic blew my mind. Per the Government Accountability Office, the federal government spent $6.1 trillion last year alone and cannot account for 61% of what was spent. I'm going to go through some of the chat now. I apologize. I'm trying to get through you know how I run my show, you little fucking weirdos. What's the Babylon Bee headline again? Man recovering from pain injury becomes a Republican. Jersey Joe, that's 100% right. I'm sorry. Canada Heavy Haul, that's 100% right. Jersey Joe quoted, "That's why shutting the government down is really what the government party wants to do. They were designed to expire." They 100% were. Look, they knew this was going to happen. And the other thing, Jersey Joe talking about the Obamacare subsidies, it was going to happen before the midterms. When they set those in motion, they did not think for the life of them that Trump was going to be in office right now, and they were just going to slam it through. They thought they were going to control government. I said at the beginning of this year, they never thought they were going to be out of power again. The Democrats were 100% convinced that they were going to be in power forever, and they were just going to keep spending more and more and more. Mission Ready Men, good evening. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, I did say weirdos. I think there's an H in there, though, BZ. Mission Ready Men, you were in fact late, sir, and that is going to be a demerit, and I expect an essay as to why you were late on my desk by the end of the show. Thank you very much for playing. So this is all because they thought, and you can argue they thought because it was going to be rigged, they thought this, they thought that, whatever the reason is, they thought that they was going to absolutely not be to the point where this was going to happen. They didn't think the Republicans were going to hold the House. They didn't think that they weren't going to be in control of the Senate. And they honestly did not think that they would be out of control in the White House. They just didn't know who from their party was going to be anointed without a vote as to who was going to be the president. Need I remind you? But they need the pain to sell the politics. Now they're playing on their back foot. It's why California is going along with this Prop 50 thing to try to do the redistricting. Because if the Supreme Court votes Friday, how it looks like they're going to vote Friday, and they're going to throw out all the redistricting stuff, the Democrats right now, even if Prop 50 passes in California, are looking at losing potentially 19 seats if the redistricting is done the proper way. And if I wanted to get into that tonight, Justice Ketanji Brown's statements were just unbelievable. Essentially, she called the Black America handicapped, which is just bizarre, and said it was totally okay to racially base voting districts because it's okay. So, you know, segregation's good when it helps and it's not good when it doesn't. That's essentially what she was saying. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And the Ukraine money. Like I said earlier, Chuck Schumer's calling about funding Ukraine. Look, Chuck, you voted for the bill that's just going to extend in the CR, but has Ukraine funding in it. Why do we need to add more right now? Why? This is a continuing resolution. Again, using pain to try to change the will of the American people. They're framing this like we're all suffering. They're framing it like the rail systems have stopped, trucks have stopped, boats can't come into the ports, stores are closed. Like they're trying to act like with this shutdown that it's COVID all over again, week one. Meanwhile, it's not affecting anybody. And the people that it is affecting, like I said, 43% of them are your voters. So show me the logic and not signing a fucking continuing resolution. It's beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. I do have to move on. Oh, there's the thing. A little bit more. This is actually, I like this. And I get it. But listen to what even Ro Khanna, a huge leftist from California, is saying about Chuck Schumer.
But you know why no one believes this Chuck Schumer thing? The country thinks he's too ineffective.
The country, even Ro Khanna is saying the quiet part out loud. Chuck Schumer is ineffective. Look, Jon Stewart called him in. Look, I get that politically. I don't like Jon Stewart. I am one of the few that can admit that he still has some fucking humor left in him, and sometimes still hits it on the mark pretty funny. BZ said, I have a dog, Jake, who's dying, who is more intelligent than KJ. Absolutely. With no questions in my mind. Mission Ready Men said that Ketanji Brown Jackson is a moron. Did you say moron, idiot? It's way up there. I was trying to get back up to it, but it's too far gone now. But yeah, Jon Stewart called Chuck Schumer the human equivalent of a flat tire, which I cannot argue with that whatsoever, because he is. And the Democrat Party is dying slowly. And I'm not saying that they won't be able to win seats. I'm not saying that they won't be able to take power, whatever. As it stands right now, they're dying slowly. You have Dollar Store Obama in the House, Chuck Schumer, who's 158 years old, running the Senate, and you've seen him, glasses down the nose, looking like this, trying to look like he's, and I don't know what this is. When he does his little speeches, I don't know why that's just such a very common, normal thing for him to do, but this is all you get out of him for excitement. He can't even raise his voice anymore because he's 4,000 years old. He doesn't even have the energy of Nancy Pelosi yelling at a reporter for asking a question. Wait, what? You might, Nancy Pelosi did what? Oh yeah. I get that video here and I want to play that because it just, if anything else, it just shows you like how batshit crazy the Democrats are and just how lost they are and the frantic actions that they're taking now. Where is it? I have it. Here it is. He's old. I know senility's kicking in with Nancy. I know for a fact that I don't know what the hell's going on in the chat room between BZ and Ricky, but I'm going to stay out over here. You guys can read the chat. I'm putting it up right now on SHR Media. But look, I'm proud of you guys. I support and celebrate. We all know Nancy Pelosi's lost a couple of thousand steps and she's senile, but she's also scared. I want to show you the reaction to a woman who is scared. And the Democrats, I forget, there was one of the Democrats last week was also trying this approach with conservative reporters or reporters from conservative angles, where they just start telling them, oh, you're just doing this for misinformation. You're asking inflammatory questions. That's kind of their point. That's kind of their job, is to ask the hard questions. So Mike Lindell, everyone knows who Mike Lindell is. He has a TV network. They have reporters, and they were in Washington. And one of them asked Nancy a question, and Nancy, I don't know if it's sundowners, they're all worried about Trump. Look at how Nancy reacted.
Are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on
She
January
needs help.
6th?
Look it.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American
Now, one of the best things about that is we all know she did. We all know she refused it. We saw the video from inside the SUV. That's not up for debate, Nancy. You had the option sent to you. You had the ability on January 6th to have more than what you had. But again, manufactured tragedies, manufactured disasters. That's what January 6th was. I said that from the beginning. I said that watching the videos from January 6th. I said that all the way through the January 6th committee. This was a manufactured disaster. They knew that if people were allowed to press forward and you kept giving them access, they were going to get inside, and then you could just turn that around. And did some people act shitty? Yes. Some people in January 6th act shitty, just like the young Republican tweets that are texts that are coming out right now. It's all shitty, and I condemn all of them, and they should all be thrown out of whatever groups they're in. You just don't joke like that, and especially when you're part of of a situation like that or a group like that. And if they're serious, all the more reason to condemn them. But that does not represent the majority of Americans, the majority of MAGA supporters, people being upset at the government, a lot of questions at the time about the election, all of that valid and true. But you prepare for it, like they prepared for the Biden inauguration. Remember, they put up all this fencing and they had all of these people come in and nothing happened at all. No conservatives showed up. They expected them to react a lot like Democrats do when they don't get their way. BZ said the Capitol Police Chief said Pelosi, yeah, he most certainly did. And if I remember right, that wasn't admitted into the January 6th report. The Capitol Police Chief said that. So it's just a disaster. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And it's, like I said, it's an intentional disaster. This is all, I want to play that, but no, I'm not ready to start that yet. This is an intentional disaster. This is what they want. This is a good one too. Adam Schiff put this out. First, Republicans passed the largest healthcare cut in history, gutting Medicaid and putting hospitals, clinics, and nursing homes across the states at risk of closure. Then they shut down the government rather than work with Democrats to fix it. Every day of this Trump shutdown is hurting families. To which the Senate Republicans responded, wrong. Senator Schiff voted to cut $50 billion from America's rural hospital 8 times in the last 3 weeks. At the same time, he voted to give illegal immigrants health care. And yes, we all know that giving illegal, we talked about it on my last show, numerous other people, illegal health care is going to illegals. The Democrats want to keep that because they look at them as potential future voters. Because if they have their way, they're all going to get their citizenship instantaneously. Right? So they know that they have to keep giving illegals health care, because if they don't, then if they come into power and if they turn around and give them all their citizenships, which is their goal, the 10 to 20 to 30 million, depending on which count you look at, then maybe they're still going to be too mad to vote for them. And that doesn't help them. That's not why they let them come across the border. That's not why they let them flood the country. That's not why they let them absolutely get whatever they want, where they want, all the time. BZ said, yeah. He's wording this from the way of Democrats is you've got to acquire new voting base because those damned blacks are abandoning the party. And that's exactly how the Democrats look at it. Look, you don't have to be a pollster to go out and observe what's going on. And I know I'm up against a break. But if you look at social media and you follow a lot of trends, you'll realize there are a lot of groups that quote unquote were eschewing votes for the Democrats are no longer voting for them. And that's just their own fault. And they're scrambling. They're nervous. They're petrified. Good. Take a break. Special thanks to KLRN Radio for carrying the show this evening. Thank you so much to Rick and the team. Make sure you like and subscribe to wherever you're watching from tonight. I'd greatly appreciate it. We'll be back after this.
Welcome to River of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch River of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Welcome back. The Edge of Liberty right here with the SHI Media Network on the 15th of October, 2025. I'll tell you, Chicago. You remember when they were talking about something, the Guard and Border Patrol and ICE and everybody into Chicago start cleaning it up and start looking for the illegals. And they said, oh, yeah, you know, we're going to level Chicago. We're going to level Chicago. Well, I'll give the little shitbags credit. They're stupid enough to try. And that's what I mean by credit. They're stupid. Watch this. This is from the streets of Chicago yesterday.
Stop physically. DHS says one of the, or both of them, I should say, are Venezuelan and in the U.S. illegally. One of them had an order for removal from 2024. A crowd formed up, and Chicago police say they started throwing rocks. So tear gas and other crowd control weaponry was used to disperse the people. Meantime, the fence surrounding the ICE facility here in Broadview.
So we talk about the fence, whatever. But yeah, they're forming up and throwing rocks. And ICE turned around and Homeland Security turned around and started using tear gas to break up the group of people, which is a very normal action to use in that sort of situation. It's a proper escalation of force. JB Pritzker lost his shit. Oh, you can't be deploying tear gas in the city streets and blah, blah, and our people. It's like, dude, what about the fucking assholes who were throwing rocks at the cops? Like, I know Chicago doesn't like to back up cops. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. But what are they supposed to do? Start shooting them? Just sit there and get their asses kicked for it? And now there was a court ruling from one of the state courts in Chicago saying that ICE can't come in and make civil arrests. Okay, they're just coming in for the criminals then. No sweat. No problem there. Chicago. You fucking asshats. I'll tell you, between illegals and criminals, I've never seen the Democratic Party stand up for anybody more at this point. Ever. This is why other minority groups that are American citizens are walking away from the Democratic Party, because they're done using them. So they're going to turn around and start using all these illegals. It's unbelievable. That wasn't even what I was trying to get to for this segment either. So I don't know if you heard this, but a deal, however long it's going to last, is a different question. I understand that. But a deal was struck between Hamas, Palestine, and Israel. Hostages were returned. Prisoners were given back to Palestine. There's already been videos of Hamas killing so-called collaborators, Palestinian people. Nobody wants to talk about that, but the videos are all over the place. And Netanyahu nominated President Trump, the first non-citizen of Israel, for their highest honor. And even if it's not perfect, and even if we all know how this is probably going to go in the future, the simple fact of the matter is they got it to stop for now. They got it to stop for now. That's progress. And I thought, it's so funny because I thought that's what Democrats wanted, right? That's what the pro-Palestinian groups wanted. They wanted Israel to stop bombing Palestine. Well, they got that. And now the pro-Palestinian groups are essentially saying that the Palestinians were not smart enough to take the deal, or were not smart enough to know what they were signing. That's pretty much their defense right now, is that they were so stupid. They didn't know what they were signing. And they're upset about it. And yeah, you've had some Democrats and some liberals and even some other national leaders, including Keir Starmer, who I know it sucks given how shitty he's doing politically right now, gave Trump credit for it. And you have to give Trump credit. Look, and of course, Marco Rubio and the rest of the team. But for them to even come to the table, even if this lasts 3 weeks, for them to get them to the table and agree to a ceasefire and potential disarming of Hamas. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're here now. You have to give credit, because that's something that Biden didn't do. Biden didn't even come close to it. He got them to the table. He got them to sign. Yeah, their follow through is completely different, but at least he got them to the table. That is progress. That is a success, no matter how you look at it. If it's going to fall apart, which it probably will, you still have to look at the success that you made now. You look at the things that Trump has done in the Middle East between this term and his last term, and he's made some major headway. And I'll tell you right now, when the woman who actually got the Nobel Peace Prize, which, by the way, that was voted on in January, from what I understand, everyone's like, haha, Trump didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, it's nominated. All that was decided already before this peace deal came in. But the woman who got it actually dedicated it to Trump for working towards peace, like he's done in so many other places. India, Pakistan, Congo, Republic of Congo, the Abraham Accords. Trump has proven successfully that he wants peace, that he will work towards peace. You look at how engaged he's been with Ukraine and Russia. Granted, I don't think they're any closer than when they started, but that was more than Biden even tried to do. That was more than the European Union even tried to do. Right? They wanted the war to continue. Why? Who knows? I mean, we all have our suspicions, but that's what they wanted. I think they want the distraction politically in all those countries that have fallen apart right now in Europe. But when you get Jordan and Egypt to signal support, when you get when you piss off Iran, you know you're going in the right direction. And when you're even getting CNN to say things like Trump's reckless diplomacy could destabilize the Middle East, and then all of a sudden it stabilized the Middle East. MSNBC says this is performative peace without Palestinian justice. BBC critics fear Trump's peace plan could escalate tensions. You know you're going in the right direction when you're pissing off those groups. But what's wrong with the idea of peace? Why is it that the left does not want that? even in this country, they don't want that, because all they do is stoke fires to try to get it to explode. They love it. They absolutely love it. And then you have certain leaders in this country who can't even hint at giving the president. Oh, that's not opening. That's funny. Who can't even hint at giving the president credit. Now, look, to the ones that gave him credit, I applaud you. Governor Newsom put this up and has since deleted it, and we know it's not Newsom. It's his little bitch boy there. It does all the work for him. Governor Newsom's Dumb and Dumber post insulted Israeli hostage families and all Californians. Deleting it doesn't erase the contempt. If it reflects his views on Israel, he should repost it, pin it, and own it. And he posted a side-by-side with Trump and Netanyahu as Dumb and Dumber. This is the governor of California, or his official site. And then he just deleted it. Why? Because it looks absolutely fucking terrible. But he's not the only one that thinks that way. He's not the only one that's upset that there's no longer an active war with Israel and Palestine. I got to move on because there's other stories I want to get to. And oh, are they right in my backyard? So, California, who couldn't fund Prop 36, but found $250 million to fund this Prop 50 bullshit. They couldn't fund Prop 36, which is the public safety thing that the people voted for the last election. But Prop 50, they can find $250 million for. But you would think that would be the absolute most disgusting part of their leadership today, but it's not. It's not. Newsom signed in that bill that I told you about a couple weeks ago. I forget the number of it. But essentially legalizes kidnapping in a lot of ways. It allows anybody to walk into a school, fill out an affidavit, and take the child with very little resistance. Doesn't matter who it is. They just have to claim ownership of the child. The amount of parental kidnappings that you're about to see is going to go through the roof. The amount of child trafficking is going to go through the roof. The amount of missing children in general is going to go through the roof. You start looking at kids that are in foster care. Their parents know where they go to school, but they can't get them because of legal proceedings. And then all of a sudden, this shitbag parent who can't take care of their child is going to show up and claim ownership of the child, and the child's going to take with them. You're going to have that going on. Maybe that weird uncle who shouldn't be around kids, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, California's fine with it. Sure, take the kids. What's the worst that can happen? When has that gone wrong ever? And I will tell you, you look at California is number one in the nation for human trafficking. Let's just start there. Number one in the nation. And it's not even close. It is absolutely an issue on a scale that is beyond nauseating. It's beyond infuriating. It is the biggest letdown of children that I think you can see on a governmental basis. Children are the most vulnerable of our society. Children are the most in need of protection in our society. Children don't know enough to protect themselves, which is why they have to be 18 or 21 to make decisions. They can emancipate. You can do some other things. But overall, as a society, we said those were the minimum ages to make their own decisions. Because children just don't know the world. They are inherently trusting, even with people who they shouldn't be. Yeah, some of them have great instincts. My 11-year-old is one of them. You know, she can tell you when somebody who shouldn't be around is around and the hair on the back of her neck goes up. But that's not every child. My son's not like that. My son's the opposite. He likes everybody. He trusts a lot of people, you know, and he's older. But you've signed this fucking bill. Man, You've signed this bill that lets anybody walk in and be able to sign some paperwork and claim that child as their own, up to and including, they're not running background checks at these schools. I'll tell you right now, I was a foster parent in California. The amount of classes, background check, paperwork, appropriately so, that I had to go through years ago to get licensed was astronomical, as it should be. And went beyond character references. They had to know everything I've ever done, everywhere I've ever been, and everyone I've ever known. And that's appropriate, because before you give a child who is a ward of the state to another human being, you have to make sure you know as much about them as humanly possible. And there are still shitbags that fall through the cracks and become foster parents that shouldn't be. When I adopted my children, for both of them, even though they're 3 years apart, had to do the paperwork all again. Had to do the background checks all again. Understandable. Great. Totally worth it. I would never, ever, ever complain about doing that for my children. But that was the standard before you gave a child to an adult human being. That was the standard for the state to turn around, or the county to turn around and say, here is a vulnerable young human being that you now have responsibility for, and eventually becomes your child. And now shitbag A, and California is fucking full of shitbag A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and fucking H. Maybe they were the parents who the foster children were taking it away from. Maybe they were the parents who beat an infant and caused a brain bleed. And beat them within an inch of their life, to the point that they had to go to an ICU for almost a month and had to relearn to use a whole side of their body. Maybe that shitbag does a little bit of research and figures out where their child, birth child, is now going to school, and decides to walk in and say, hey, this is my name. This is the birth certificate. Even though it's not valid anymore, they may still have a copy of it. This is a picture. Maybe I pulled these pictures online, but it shows that I have them on my phone, and I want to sign that affidavit because I need to take her to a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment. And that child's gone. In California is totally fucking okay with that. Children are no longer safe in California. It was already questionable before with some of the rules about what teachers can and can't do. But now it's even fucking worse, because now it's just strangers. At least the teachers had some sort of background check. At least we know who these people are. At least we can have an idea of their address, and we can go find them if we need to, if the worst case scenario happens. They've now made it that much harder. And do you know that how long it takes to find somebody after they've had a 20-minute head start in a vehicle? You know, when you drive through a state and you see all those Amber Alert signs and you see them go off, wait 2 months and see how often in the state of California you're going to start to fucking seeing those. I hope upon hope that there are parent groups that are filing lawsuits right now. I hope upon hope that this law gets thrown out. But I just don't fucking know anymore. And if you are a parent in the state of California, you need to contact a lawyer, and you need to fill out an affidavit or a form that is legally written and submitted to a school that says, you may not release my child to anybody except for X, Y, and Z, or without permission from this person or this person. And if you do, I'm going to hold you personally liable. I don't give a shit what the state law says. My child is my child, not yours, not Gavin Newsom's, not fucking Scott Wiener, none of those fucks who live 2 miles that way and work 2 miles that way. They don't fucking belong to you. They don't belong to the fucking teachers. They don't belong to the state. It's my fucking kid. It's your child. It's the being that you chose to give everything in your life for. to do whatever it takes to protect. And they're trying to take that away from you. Contact a lawyer. Get that paperwork on file ASAP. Because the state of California does not give a fuck about you or your kids. These are the same people that wrote this bill who are trying to tell you that pedophilia should not be something that we should be upset and ashamed about. Remember that. Remember that. Speaking of California, because before I put my hand through this goddamn computer screen, I'm going to move on. Let's talk about Katie Porter. Just another amazing California Democrat. Just somebody who is a wonderful human being. You've all seen the Katie Porter losing her shit on her assistant video by now. But that's not the only one. It's not just that video. There was the lighting video. Turn off this light. Now turn on that light. I'm sorry, I'll start the interview in a second. No, you got the lighting wrong. She's fucking psycho. Holy shit. She is the woman who your mother warned you about. And she's on her little apology tour right now. It's Michael Madsen who's returned from the dead. She's on her little apology tour right now. She's trying to clean it up as she runs for governor. I saw this and I thought this summed it up absolutely perfectly. And I know I just scrolled by it. Here's this TikTok video of this show host called Deep Talks Corner. That's all I know about it. But listen to this and you tell me, just listen.
The woman who is running for governor in California, Katie Porter, she must be the most miserable person that everyone is like, oh, by the way, let me tell you what she did to me. Allegedly, according to her former husband. I know you guys are going to be shocked to hear that marriage didn't work out. That's crazy. Her former husband said she frequently abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him, even pouring scalding hot mashed potatoes on his head.
Now stop for a second, because the other thing, and we've talked about this in the past with certain incidents. When somebody doesn't refute something like the mashed potato story, that's not saying it didn't happen. That's saying I don't have a defense for it. It's also a felony in the state of California. That's domestic violence with bodily injury. That's a felony. And he didn't call the police, so she wasn't arrested for it. But let me ask you this question. If this story was reversed and it was her husband who was running, actually, you know what? Even if he wasn't running, let's say she was still running and he was the one who was throwing toys at her, domestic violence, verbally abusing her, domestic violence, and pouring scalding hot mashed potatoes over her head. Every single woman's group would be claiming her as a hero. She's so hot. And they wouldn't necessarily be wrong, right? Anyone who survives abuse and domestic violence, there's something amazing to be said about that. When they get themselves on the other side of it, when they move their lives on, when they heal, when they take actions to stop it. I applaud any of that. That's what this man had to do to get divorced from her. He had to do all of that. Now, let's reverse it. Let's say he was running. Let's say she was running and he was the one being abusive. Once again, all the social justice warriors, the feminine group, all that other stuff would be coming out calling him a monster. How dare he? How could she even be there? She's so strong. She's done so much. She's a victim. Blah, 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 blah. Why are they not calling her the animal right now? It was like when it came out that Cardi B used to drug guys and robbed them and everyone just laughed it off. She's a fucking abusive, mean human being. And no apology tour in the world is going to undo that. The only people that are going to protect her, and look, there's been a couple of media people that have called her out for it, and good for them. Good for fucking them. But the media nationally and locally are going to gloss over all of that shit. They're going to turn a blind eye to it. They're going to act like it's totally okay. They're going to ignore that. Why? Because she's the only prominent Democrat running right now. There's a couple other ones who don't have much. I couldn't even tell you their names off the top of my head. Katie Porter used to be a state rep. We know who she is. She's a fucking lunatic. And I'm not using that as a ha ha ha. No, she's a narcissist. She's obviously abusive. The list goes on. And she's the leading Democrat running for governor in the state of California because Newsom's done. Watch how it's just going to be like Spanberger and Jay Jones in Virginia. Watch how they'll ignore things. They'll promote her for other things that they think are good, but they will look over all of these transgressions. If this was a male running for that position, they wouldn't even get out of the gate. You look at what they did to Trump on allegations from 40 years ago that were never really proven. That even with the civil decision was still not it was not a conviction, right? You look at like some of the things he said, yeah, okay, it's locker room talk. But they've never been able to prove anything like that, and they still annihilated him or tried to. They still try to drag out people who said that one time in the party 30 years ago for 2.5 minutes they were together and he made bad comments about it, blah, 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 blah. This is everything that's wrong with the media and everything that's wrong with the Democratic Party. Because I'll tell you right now, just like Jay Jones and Spanberger, they should already come out and say, hey, Katie, we're not fucking having you. We are not having this. We're not having you. We're not okay with that. Yeah, BZ said it great. Can you imagine if she gets voted governor? Yeah. No, it is insane to me that she is even a name on the list anymore, and she's raising money. People are giving her money. How fucked up are we right now? Like, I know Prop 50, all the money's from the Democrats because they're trying to keep anything that they can fucking hold on to because they're about to get their asses handed for them. I get that. Whether I agree or disagree doesn't mean I don't understand the concept behind it. They're going to give this horrible human being money. They're going to put money in her pocket because she's got a D next to her name. How many times have I said that? You have people that will vote for them just because they have a D next to their name. Doesn't matter how many horrible, awful things that they do. And if I were fucking the other Democrats who are running, I'd be calling for her to leave the party immediately. Like, out, gone, done. Why are we doing this? And I would be attacking her now, not even going after Steve Hilton, who's running, or Chad Bianco, who's running. I'd just be going after her specifically. So when I get to that point against Bianco, or I get to that point against Steve Hilton, I can say, hey, look, we can all agree that Katie Porter was a horrible human being, and none of us should be doing that, and that's not a standard we want to set. Clock's a ticking, folks. Clock's a ticking. Vote blue, no matter who. Whiskey Dale's in the chat joining us. Thank you so much, Whiskey Dale. I appreciate you. So, folks, that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, and next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. But it's not just me. Oh, no. Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. You have the Reverb Common Sense with Jersey Joe. Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast. Mission Ready Men with Big E. Tuesday, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. You have BZ's Berserk, Bobcat Saloon Radio Show with the amazing BZ. And then on Sundays at 5 p.m., you have the Cosmic Bar, the Lost Wanderer, if you will, and his just incredibly awesome, intelligent, a show that you should probably watch 2 or 3 times to actually understand what the hell's being said, but a great show to check out nonetheless. Please, please, please like and subscribe wherever you're watching the show from tonight, even if it's on X, Twitch, whatever. Please like and subscribe. Drop a note, say hello, say hi, go into the chat, or go into the comments after the show. Let us know what you think. I would greatly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. I hope you have a great night. I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Special thanks to KLRN Radio for simulcasting. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.